Let's kick it off. I know we have a bunch of people on already. It's time to start, and really appreciate all you guys on. This is what our returning third time, right, for these guys on panel with us.
I think it is. And today I'm kind of excited because I know we're going to have a lot of hot topics. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the last few months, there's just been so many things that are hitting our industry. The commissions lawsuits, huge advancements in AI, the market shift, of course, the news that interest rates are likely going to go down up to 6 times next year. It's like the last few weeks and months, tons of stuff has been happening and developing. So we wanted to have this panel come and host, for all you guys that have questions or want to hear what we're doing or how we're going to be handling some of this stuff. It's your forum to ask questions of these amazing speakers. So where do you want to start, Long? Do we have, I can't see much here on my end because, technical difficulties, but do we have people on right now that are ready to start asking? Or do you want to start kind of opening up some topics?
Yeah, so we want anyone on because ask us anything, right? So you guys just type in there on the chat or questions. So right now, the first one we have is for first-time home buyers, who should they wait for the market to get better? I'll start on my screen. I see. I'll start with the ladies first.
Perfect. I think if rates really are going to drop 6 times next year, which I think it's kind of a bold move, I would say, to share that kind of stuff publicly on social media and that kind of thing, because it's an election year. There's just so much that could happen. And if that's the messaging you're giving out, I think a lot of people will say, well, then I'll just wait. I'll wait for the interest rates to go down 6 times and then I'll buy. But what's going to happen, especially for first-time home buyers, is if that does happen, I think we all can kind of predict that inventory is not just going to go from where it is now to here, right? It's going to maybe creep up a little bit, but you're going to bring in this whole buyer demand of all these people who were waiting for interest rates to go down. So now your interest rate's going to drop and you're going to be back in this multiple offer situation and competing for homes again. Personally, I think if the right time for a buyer is now, or they have the ability to be looking now, and the right house comes on the market, this is a phenomenal time to buy. It's quieter, homes are sitting longer, a lot of them are selling without multiple offers, and rates are not permanent. If rates do drop 6 times next year, then they can refinance, or they can refinance in a couple of years. So that's temporary. The purchase price is forever. So I think, and first and foremost, I think it's really important for buyers or sellers. Timing the market is impossible. So you really do need to work off of what time is right for you. But if you are a first-time home buyer and you want to purchase a home, I personally wouldn't advise my first-time home buyers to just wait for rates to drop 6 times next year.
Any follow-up to that? Because I would like to say too, when it comes to timing the market, I think the only time I've ever seen timing the market work, I got licensed in 1998. Timing the market, call it in 2008, 2009, probably would have worked really well. But my entire career, I keep hearing people talk about how they're going to time the market. It just never really seems to work out the way that they think it's going to work out. And even if the rates were to drop, how much is that going to push with buyer demand? How much is it going to push home prices up with multiple offers and be in that same uncomfortable position we were in 2021? So is that really a wise move? I agree with you, Lindsay, that if you're in a place you want to buy and need to buy, you buy and you figure it out later, with things, and you kind of line yourself up with the right concessions now. 2-1 buy downs are a great tool for buyers when they're worried about rates and affordability. But we've got so many different options between mortgage recast, refinance, a ton of options later to correct those higher amounts. So anyway, what's you guys' thoughts on that?
I was just going to share too that the last few weeks, we're hearing of a lot of some positive momentum in the market, just from talking to a variety of agents, both on our team, but also just with other companies and brokers and teams. I think a lot of people are realizing that there's going to be no magic dip down to 3% anymore. And life happens. People have kids. People get married, people get divorced, people need to move. And so what we're seeing, at least a little bit on our end, is that the market is starting to thaw a little bit. And people are realizing that, hey, it is what it is. I loved what Lindsay had to say because, again, we know the current market right now, and come the spring, it's we don't know exactly what's going to happen, or where things are going to be at. And so right now, it is a great time, in my opinion, because again, there is a little less competition. You can actually get in and look at some stuff. And plus, rents are expensive. I mean, looking at the Twin Cities market, the rental market is not cheap. And so I think it's just having conversations with your buyers to help them understand all these dynamics. And of course, they don't feel pushed or pressured, but just help them understand that, again, you can keep renting, or again, you can get into a really good local, stable housing market that can help you and your family build wealth over time. It's not going to happen in 6 months, but why not get in the game now? Why not start to move the ball down the field?
Okay.
I agree
Grant?
with what both of them said. What they said is 100% accurate. You're never going to time the market, for one thing. In my career, I've rarely seen anybody do it. And if you're a first-time buyer, buy when you're ready, when it's ready for you. And you can always refi later. And that's what we're telling everybody. And it seems to be working. And they're out there, and it is a great time. There is not much competition right now.
The next question we have on here, it's seemed to be a little bit RG specific, but I'll list it out, and I know you guys can probably help answer too. We have this thing called a seller success kit. So it's a thing that Mike and our team put a lot of work into to put it together to present a presentation on listing, and it comes with a lot of services. So I wanted to see if you guys are able to share that. Hey, if someone come in, because we always talk about, nowadays, it's not just listing the home anymore, right? You actually have to do the work to really be, a really professional now. So you have your network of mover, stager, photographer, mortgage people, title people. So our seller success kit is designed to help with that, Mike. I know you just jumped off and I still can't get you on yet, but I know you can talk. One of the agent asked, and it looks like it might be an RG agent. So they asked about our seller success kit and how do you present it and who pays for all those services.
So, what I'll say, Long, is I recently went on a listing appointment, a probate listing appointment that needs some work. So part of that success kit is how we're funding, home, pre-listing repairs, sort of a checklist of items of things that we're going to fund and hold the closing. In this particular case, they would have probably been walking away, writing a check at closing. After the repairs, they're getting a check, right? And we're funding it. We walked in there. Here's the repairs we recommend. They agreed to it. Now, the crazy thing about that was they agreed to a 7% listing commission before even hearing a sale price, because they were so impressed with the different services, the way that we're going to present the listing, right? So and it's not just about the commission. It's about the fact that they were so impressed with it that they were saying, I don't care what it costs. I want this service. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So it kind of changed the conversation between digital first impression, physical first impression, functional problem solving, everything that we have in that set of services. So I think the way you're using it is you're using it to solve, not sell. You're not just going in there and talking about a great agent you are, or how many great houses you sell. You're talking about, I'm going to solve all your problems. I'm going to give you a better experience. So I think that's how we're using it, well. Oh, you're muted. Long, you're muted.
Oh, that's pretty good for you not even seeing. Oh, you can see us. We just can't see you. I got it.
Right.
I'm like, man, you're Houdini this morning. You throw you right in, all the technical difficulty, you'll roll like nothing's happening.
No
You
big
must
deal.
have your coffee already, Mike.
I'm going to Lindsay's place from now on. The nonprofit profit company.
Okay, the question is, you all have found a lot of success in 2023. What will you take with you into 2024 and keep going? And what will you cut out? So two-part question. So I'll start with Grant.
Take with us, I think it's more attitude and energy, is that we really, as a team, try to ignore all the outside noise that's going on in the market. Personally, I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news. I just kind of, we put our head down and went to work. We will keep that whole attitude 100%. We are going to change a few things. We're going more into AI as far as for lead follow-up and that. We're going to push real hard into AI. But we're not going to change a lot. We're just going to keep going to work. We're going to keep growing and hopefully keep what's happened this year and move forward.
Ryan?
Yeah, I agree. You know, I know everybody on the panel here has been in the industry a long time. So many different markets. You may be newer to the business. You may be kind of freaked out a little bit with the slowdown and the downturn. You know, my 2 cents, you know, from seeing a lot of different markets, it really comes back to, again, what Grant said, showing up daily. What is your attitude? What is your effort? What is your plan? You know, what are you going to do to build relationships with other people? And so for us, you know, moving into 2024, we're going to keep focusing on what we can control, our attitude, our effort, how we treat other people. We are not going to take into 2024 everything we can't control. I think it's so easy to get wrapped up and just to get fearful when we hear everything that's going on with our market, with the buyer agent payouts, with all these different things. So I think, you know, having a plan and continuing to implement that. And again, I love what Grant said. We're doing some AI stuff too. I think technology, staying on cutting edge is very important. Don't be afraid to go back to the basics as well. Lindsay, before our meeting today, she was holding up a nice cup of coffee, and we were chatting about her cup of coffee. You know, as old-fashioned as it sounds, I try to have a cup of coffee every day with someone, your neighbors, your friends, people at church, somebody in your basketball league, your broker, whoever. Build some relationships, get out of your home office and get a little mojo that helps your business. So I think that's something that I'm trying to do daily, as well as, again, just picking up the phone, the old telephone. It's easy when it's quiet this time of year to, you know, that can not feel great. Use the phone to build a little energy, create some conversations, take some interest in other people, get to know others. That leads to momentums, referrals, showings, listings. So just some basic things along, but that's at least what we're trying to do.
That's
How about
good.
you,
That's
Lindsay?
good.
I love the consistencies across all of our, you know, thought processes and the way that we do business, because I could.
Oh, I think we lost Lindsay for a sec.
Oh, am I
There we
back?
go. Now we
There
got
you're
you.
back.
Okay. I was just saying that the consistency, like I could echo everything that they've just said. And I love that about all of you guys. But I would say the word that continues to come to mind for me over the last couple of weeks is efficiency. I feel like, you know, I own a brokerage, I'm a top producer, I have 5 kids, and you know, fitness is really important to me. And I know a lot of us have our own things going on in our own lives. And one of the ways that I've been able to do what I do is efficiency. And I feel like I lost some of that during COVID, right? We were very reactionary. We were running out and showing a house over here and then running out and showing one house over here. And it wasn't like it was prior to COVID, where you'd send your clients, you know, 15 homes.
Oh,
I
and
think
Lindsay's
it's
back again.
Lindsay internet. So she's already using AI and they're burning up a lot of her bandwidth, I think.
Right. Now she's back.
You're back.
Yep. So I'm gonna jump in real quick too, because
I switched to internet. Did it work?
I think we got it now. Yep.
Okay, good. Okay, so I was just talking about efficiency, and during COVID, you know, just losing some of that because you're very reactionary. So you're running here, you're running there, the phone was ringing. A lot of us who've been in the industry for a long time lost the habits of, you know, just coming in and getting the work done because we were pulled in so many different directions. So, leaving behind, I guess, for this year, inefficiencies and procrastination, and moving forward into next year with intention. And I do think there's something to say, Grant, I learned from you on our last panel recently, that you're in the office at whatever it was, 7 or 7:30, and you're getting a few hours of work done before anybody else is even there. I mean, imagine how successful everybody on this panel or on this call would be if you just went to the office and did 3 to 4 hours of focused work. Because in our industry, that's not normal, it's not common. And if you just put in that time and create those habits, and like Grant and Ryan have said, have a plan, sit down with your mentors and your leaders and come up with a business plan so you know what to do when you're sitting there. Whether that's making calls, going on social media and commenting on other people's things, not necessarily having to worry about your own content, but just engaging with others, checking MLS, checking in with your current clients, any of those things. But I think efficiency is really huge, and just putting your butt in the chair and getting back to the office.
So I want to follow up with that, Lindsay. So number one, I always talk about this with agents, that, getting up early, being in your chair at the same time every day, creating consistency, you're getting hours ahead of your competition. And I don't want to just say we're all competition, but you're getting hours ahead of other people in the industry. If you get 10 hours ahead of everybody else in a week, you might not think it's a huge deal, but you do that over the course of a year, that's 520 hours you're ahead of everybody else. What are you actually going to accomplish with that? And I want to add something too, because I think you guys all had really great points of what you're bringing into 24. One thing that I would say leave behind in 23, we talked to a lot of agents that have a real victim mentality. The market's this, the market's that, the market sucks, poor me, leave it behind. I'd actually challenge you all to think about having gratitude for the market. And what I mean by that is when the market's really easy, it creates terrible habits in our practitioners. When the market's hard, it strengthens you. It strengthens muscles that you're not using in easy markets. It makes you a better agent. So what do you bring in 2024? Bring that skill set of being a better agent. You survived it. You made it through 23. You did some deals. Now thrive it. Have some gratitude for the fact that things aren't as easy as they were, and yet it's sharpening your skill set. I think if you can get there from a mindset perspective, man, it's like anything is possible.
Yeah, I agree, Mike. I think what we all kind of also saying too is you and I do a lot of a one-on-one coaching or consultation with our team member, right? I know everybody on the panels here probably do that. We all have teams. And one thing we work on the most is their mindset. You guys talk about gratitude and what to do, but at the end of the day, they have everything they need to succeed where they're at. I know all you guys give them the best technology, the best CRM, all this, support, training, everything they need. What is missing? It's up here. Everyone's making excuse what's happening. And we all have stuff going on in life. We can't control it, right? The rates is high. You got to take the kids to school. I mean, there's a lot of things happening, but it's how do you set your mindset to work through it all? Because those challenges in life will never go away. Matter of fact, they're going to keep coming back, and sometimes they come back hard and multiple.
And I'd say too that, I think failure is a natural part of success. You can't really get to success except through failure. Failure is acceptable, but there's no pathway to success through excuses. You've got to kind of ditch the excuses, embrace the failures, embrace the learning process, which leads me to the next question I want to give to the panel. So in challenging markets like this, obviously there's different problems. We have a different problem to solve today than we did 3 years ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago for the consumer. What do you guys feel is sort of the biggest problems to solve for consumers today? And what are your agents like? How are you prepping your agents saying this is our problem we need to solve? How are we solving it? What are we doing today to make this consumer experience faster, better, more efficient? How are we helping them through their challenges? What are those challenges today? Let's start with Ryan. Ryan I can see his wheel spinning. Got to start with Ryan.
I think I need more of this or more of Lindsay's what you're drinking. Inventory is a huge issue. It's just amazing to me. Even in our current market, you hop on social media or first thing an email and you see 6 buyer need emails from a variety of people. So inventory is an issue. And I think letting your buyers know what you're going to do as an agent to try to help them find inventory, that you're not just going to log on to North Star MLS and just say, hey, oh, I guess there's nothing here in Bloomington, sorry, good luck. Really talk about what you do as an agent and some of the different things that you can do, whether it's door knocking. I've met some agents who are very successful door knockers, whether it's sending letters to neighborhoods around listings, around recent sales. There's a lot of extra things that we as agents can be doing to help identify people that are willing to raise their hand and say, hey, maybe I would think about selling. And I know that's hard, as an agent. I think about when I started, we didn't have to do a lot of that. And so to your point, Mike, I think it is easy sometimes just to be upset about that and say, wow, this is a lot of work now. I have to door knock, or I have to send letters, or I have to do these different things. But the agents I see doing that are really succeeding at a high level and having very good years, almost even better than the COVID years. And so I think, to me, and I'll pass to the other panelists, but inventory, huge issue. And at least those are some of the things we're trying to do to help our buyers find more inventory.
Love it. Who's next? Grant,
You
you
want
got
to go, Lindsay? Yeah, I agree with everything. I'll go. What the heck? I agree with everything Ryan said. I mean, inventory is probably the biggest issue right now. You also hear from buyers quite a bit about rates, but there's so many ways to solve that for them. But it is, I think what Ryan really said is the agents that are getting back to the basics of, like you said, pick up the phone, send letters, knock on doors, meet with people. They're the ones that are actually helping their clients be successful and going out and finding inventory for your buyers. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like half the buyers now are sending us links from realtor.com or Zillow for properties they found. Probably more than our agents are even calling them and saying, hey, I found this for you. And I think we need to flip that back a little bit again and get out there and work and try to find the inventory for the client.
I love that. So I used to track this, that about 35% of every house I sold to a buyer was one that I found that they would have passed on. For one reason or another, they'd pass on it. I would be like, I want to bring this one with, since we're looking at 5 others, I want to bring this one just for comparison's sake. I have a feeling about this. They never fight me on it. About 35% of the time, they bought the one because we know what we're looking at. They don't necessarily know what they're looking at. We've seen the same split entry 1,000 times. We know what it's going to look like. We know it's just bad photography. So, yep, we're gonna go ahead and put this one in your showings for you. So, I think it's a valid point that just letting them come to us, and we're going to be a professional door opener. Which, after Lindsay, I really want to hear Lindsay's take on on what the challenges are today. But after that, I want to kind of transition into what the true value of a buyer's agent is. With all this commission lawsuit stuff going on, do we even know what our value is? So, Lindsay, for a problem to solve, what would you say your answer to that is?
Yeah, mine was absolutely going to be inventory. So we don't have to spend a ton of time of me just echoing what the other two said, and we can jump into your next question if you want, but completely agree with all of that, including what you said, Mike. A lot of times, don't waste time showing a buyer a property if they said they don't want to be on railroad tracks, but they don't notice that it's on railroad tracks, and you go anyway. You find other properties for them. And, like Grant and Ryan said, go out and be creative. Use your relationships in the industry across brokerages, go door knocking, send mailers, whatever you need to do, but get to work, be creative, be grateful, like you said, Mike, that you have a buyer, and go to work for them.
I love
Lindsay,
that.
if I can follow up real quick on one thing Lindsay said, I think is so important as you're watching this, is realize the other agents in the industry are not your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get to know people, the Lindsays, the Grants, the Mike and Longs of the industry, they can become your ally in helping you find property. And so build relationships with other people in the industry too, because your buyer that you've been trying to find a place for a year, maybe a phone call to Lindsay leads to a home run. And I know that sounds crazy, but I see it happen all the time. And don't be afraid to build those relationships with our fellow agents. It will pay off over time.
And
I wanna
I
throw-
that, Mike.
Not only in finding the properties, but when you have multiple offers, or in many situations, if I know, if I have 3 offers on a property and I know one of the agents really well, and I know that that transaction is going to go really well, I tell my sellers that. And so, knowing each other and having those relationships, understanding how we work, clean offers, submitting clean offers that have all the paperwork, all the boxes checked, making a phone call when you're submitting an offer. Don't just pop it in a listing agent's inbox. There's so many things, and this kind of will get into your value of a buyer's agent, Mike. But, if all you're doing is running around opening doors and then putting offers together and throwing it in an agent's inbox, and that's what you're calling your buyer's agent representation, you're not doing a service to your client.
Not at all. And I wanted to throw a few hacks out there too when it comes to solving inventory. I agree. I think that's one of the biggest problems we have to solve, especially when you tie that to affordability. It gets to be dicey. So a couple of things that we did for our agents, we put together a kind of a checklist of, an advanced search. This is what you should be doing on a weekly basis for your buyers. And some of those items, and I was surprised to see this. When I looked when I dropped a pin in the middle of the Twin Cities and I did like a 17, 18-mile radius search, I found single family only in a 6-month period. There was like 680 homes that sold under 225. So I looked at that and I'm like, are you guys even talking to your buyers that are looking at 350, 400 about renovation? No, I don't know anything about it. So basically you're just going into the MLS, whatever's in that price range that your buyer's looking, number of bedrooms, bath, the metrics, you're either saying yay or nay, send or not. I'm like, you got to get a little bit more creative than that. Things like looking at homes that have been on the market 60 days plus, and they're 15, 20 grand over your buyer's max price. Well, can we pull that price down? Are you searching for that? Are you searching 3 miles out of their search radius? Are you looking for sold contingents you can bump with your non-contingent? Are you looking at Zillow for sale by owner on every single one? So we created sort of a, advanced search, and you should be going through that checklist with every buyer every week. And what we found for the people doing it, it's about 1 out of 4 buyers that they're struggling to get through their pipeline are now getting through the pipeline. So inventory is a challenge, but this is where these opportunities and the gratitude lies. Wow, this challenge is going to push me to be more creative, to have a better service, do something different than somebody else, and probably get better referrals. That's where I find the gratitude in it.
Yeah, and I want to add to that a little bit that everybody's saying, but one thing that I don't want to glaze over what Ryan also said about reaching out and knowing the other side of the agent, because we're in the people business, right? People work with people they like and trust. And nearly almost every transaction, we have a partner on the other side. To make the deal work, you need that other agent, because very rare you get a dual deal, right? The hog, as we call it. And everyone on this, including Mike, everyone on these in the beginning, when I reach out to say, I'd love to just meet with you and get to know you, you guys did not say no. And this is why we're all here still talking, even though we all are technically competitors, but we are also our collaborators. And I think that's something that people don't get enough of. I know, of course, there's always some recruiting on the line. People always want to recruit, but a lot of time people just want to get to meet you and get to know you, because it's all about alignment. And hey, I'm the first to always say, so what if they try to recruit you? You recruit them back. It's like, at least you know how their model works. So now you know where you're at is the right place. So you actually just strengthen your decision where you're at. So don't be afraid. And Ryan, he said every day, me the same, my goal. So is Mike. I like to meet one new person every day. And then at least one person I met in the past as a follow-up. That's my goal. We're in the people business. If that's not part of your schedule, what are you doing all day?
I'm worried about Ryan though, because if I was meeting everybody for a cup of coffee every day, I'd probably have 6 or 7 cups of coffee a day. I don't know if I'd be able to. I'd be jittery. I don't know if I could have a good conversation.
I tell you, any Starbucks within about a 30-mile radius, I feel like I know half of the workers. But it's there's something about it too. I just think we can get in our own heads so much. Sometimes it is nice to just get out. If you are not going physically to an office, I just can't encourage you more so to just literally get out of your home. Getting out of your home and being around others and having some conversations. It's about energy. It's about momentum. Those are really real things. And this time of year, when it's slower, it's like you have to do those things. 100%
agree. And I think too that, you don't always walk into these things with an agenda. Sometimes you don't know why you're going, and the agenda presents itself. You meet with somebody, you're like, I had no idea why I was going to meet them or what value was going to come from it. Sometimes it's just good to have an open mind and see what develops. Some of the
Yep.
best meetings of my life have been when I'm walking in having no idea what the heck I'm doing there.
Yep.
I'll also bet none of us ever turn down a lunch or a coffee with another agent that we know. If it fits in our schedule, I bet every one of us goes.
Yeah.
And that's how you build your reputation.
Especially with Chipotle. I'll never turn that down.
Hey, Mike and Long, real quick, one thing I would say for those of us that are more linear thinkers, what we just talked about for a couple minutes, I know is really hard because we don't make any money if I go sit down for an hour with somebody and drive 30 minutes. And that's hard. I know that's hard. I'm a realist. I get it. We need to make money. But you have to remember, again, that the money is generated through lots of random sprinkling of kind of dust, and relationships through all these different people that you just don't know. And so if your mind goes there that, hey, this is a freaking waste, I need, I don't have time for this. Don't let your mind go there, because you could get multiple referrals, deals out of taking time for that one, $4 venti Americano.
Such a great point. And I think too, to Grant's methodology of having your butt in the chair, get there early, I think you can structure your day. And I'm a big structure person. I would rather say, for this amount of time a day, I'm going to be doing nothing but prospecting and dollar producing activities. That's non-negotiable, uninterrupted. But maybe then you got a different part of your day that's built just for those meetings and relationship building. You can structure it that's going to work, so you're not feeling like you're not productive. And Ryan, what you're saying is absolutely true, because it might take a while for some of those relationships to produce, but they do produce. It's like the difference between a hunter and a farmer. The hunter's going, I want my effort to pay off. Everything I do, I want to be able to put a tangible dollar amount to it. Where the farmer's going, I need to plant some seeds, and some of those seeds are going to turn into huge fruit. So I think there's a way you can kind of think both ways.
Yeah, I think it's impossible to know, even if you're going and sitting down with another agent. I mean, next month they could have a listing that your buyer wants to buy, and that leads directly to a paycheck because you're in multiples and they met you for coffee and they give you the opportunity, maybe with a counter, or maybe it's the best offer, whatever. Maybe you guys talk about ways that you're, working through challenges in the market, and you learn a new tool or system that gets you 5 new buyers next year, or sellers, or whatever it is. I mean, I personally think I agree with you, Rye, for the linear thinkers. It can be hard to maybe think outside the box a little bit, but that's exactly what this business is. You do not know what efforts are going to lead to something. And like we've talked about as a theme on this call, you can control your actions, right? You can't really control anything else around you, but you can control what you're doing. And sitting in your house doing nothing is going to get you nothing. So, sitting your butt in a coffee shop, or in an office, or on someone else's couch in an open house is going to do a lot more for you than sitting on your own couch. So
100.
We're challenging all of our agents right now to come to the office at least 3 days a week, just to start that process with them. But the other thing we changed, and what Lindsay kind of said a little bit about the process on that, we're actually asking everybody to track how many hours they're actually working. And we're learning that most agents aren't working 40 hours a week, not even anywhere near it.
Most?
And
99.9%.
Yeah. So, but it's amazing how their mindset changes when you actually track what you're doing. And it's really, I know this is kind of off topic, but it's really changed the whole atmosphere of everything. And they're coming to the office, they're trying to do more stuff, they're following the schedule. I think that's really the magic that you're going to see for next year. That's going to help everybody.
Love that. Because I think, like I said, when you're trying to structure such an unstructured, reactive industry, then we react constantly. I think that's why people feel so busy. React, and they feel busy, but they're not productive. Busy and productive are two very different things. When you start controlling your schedule and taking proactive, intentional, time to do whatever it is you need to do, and in my schedule as a real estate agent, I'm going to have those meeting times, even if I don't have a meeting booked. I'm going to have those meeting times in my schedule. So I'm going to fill those up. Even if I don't have the meeting yet, I've got 3 meetings I want to do today. I don't know who's going to be in there. Who should I have coffee with? Who should I call? Who do I need to connect with? I'm going to fill those time slots. But like I said, the more time that we spend reacting, the less time we spend proacting, and it's in that proaction that we're going to really be successful. All right, so are we ready for the big conversation? I know everybody is talking so much about, the commission lawsuit, which has really kind of sparked this conversation of what a real value of a buyer's agent is, and whether or not we're still, as an industry, providing that value. At its core, in a way, that's what this whole thing has been about. What am I paying for? Is it worth it? What's the value of a buyer's agent today in this market? And, I've talked to a lot of agents about this and asked them to tell what a buyer's agent value is. And I get, on average, maybe 2 to 3 different kind of answers or talking points, when I think we can probably have 50 different talking points. So I think people are unaware and they have a hard time articulating their value. So I'd love to have that conversation with you guys. What really is the value of a buyer's agent? Who wants to start?
Lindsay's got that coffee. Yeah, you.
Yeah. Well, I just want to start and actually kind of, not only speak first, start the conversation, but start at the beginning of the process. And I really think that our value as a buyer's agent starts at education. So, not just getting a phone call, a lead, a referral, whatever, and running out to a house to meet them. It starts with, a buyer consultation. And really learning, what are they looking for? What are their motivations? Going through the process with them of what this is going to look like, start to finish. Even if it's their 4th home, chances are they haven't bought in the market today. Even if they bought in the market in 2021 and it's only been 2 years since they bought, it's still different today. So, sitting down and just talking them through that process and what that's going to look like, and setting expectations, of how you work and make sure you're a good fit, is, I think, where that buyer representation starts. It's only the tip of the iceberg, but in my opinion, really important.
Love that. And so, Lindsay, I know I definitely want to hear from the other two as well, but we've been talking a lot about, with agents, getting away from just the product and getting back to the process, right? So this is where the question, has Zillow and Realtor.com really been good for the industry? Now, if you look at when Zillow founded, it was because there was no consolidation of data for consumers, right? So, I mean, it's great that they have a place that can find houses, but it hasn't really been great for the industry, that we've been taught, by and large, get a buyer that wants to go look at a house, they're ready to transact, go out there, show it to them, write an offer. And now I feel like, we really got to get back to the process, upstreaming that, by months, helping them from going from aspirational, I'm thinking of buying, all the way through that process to be transactional, and sticking with them with that. And I think agents have been trained, who's ready right now? Are you not ready? Then I don't want to talk to you. So I think I agree. I think we got to back way up and start working with people far beyond. I mean, if someone tells me they're 6 months out, no problem. A year out, no problem. Let's start talk about the process. So, that's something I think the industry as a whole has to look at. Are we going to be just transactional or beyond that?
I think what you're both really saying is it's knowledge. People want the knowledge that we have. And even if you're brand new, right out of real estate school, you know more about real estate than 90% of the people in the world. And they just don't necessarily have 100% of the knowledge to get through a transaction. I think that's really what we bring. There's going to be companies that become professional door opener companies out there. Mm-hmm. They'll open a door for $50 or whatever, but they're not going to have the knowledge that we have to get through the difficult transactions and guide people through the process.
I think with the lawsuit too, don't be afraid of the discussion. Don't be afraid of the elephant in the room. And there's been a trend in our industry, I would say, where I've heard many agents say, over the last number of years, hey, it doesn't cost you anything to have a buyer's agent. And so I think with this lawsuit and what's going on, I think, again, we're addressing it head on and not being afraid of the conversation and saying there is a cost to you to have a really good buyer's agent. And here's how that works. And to actually just go through it and spell it out with them and explain what you're doing. Mike, when you talked about value, a lot of my day-to-day role is dealing with problems on transactions.
Mhm.
And I can tell you, it has never been more important to have a really good agent guiding the customer through the transaction than 2023 and 2024.
Right.
With, again, the process, the transaction, the contingencies, the lenders, the dealing with the other broker, the ups and downs, you all bring so much value to the transaction. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of that. Have that confidence. Practice your script. Practice on saying it. Hey, what do you do for it? Because again, it's like, okay, I need to go get my teeth cleaned. Well, they're not going to do it for free. There's a charge. There's a fee. There's a cost for the service. Don't be afraid of that. We are professionals and we should be paid accordingly.
So I really want to touch on a couple of things you said there. First and foremost, when you're talking about, how complicated the transactions have gotten, right? So even just think of the strategy of finding the house. If 56% of buyers cite what they want from a buyer's agent is not just help finding a house, but finding the right house. Now, Ryan, you as you said earlier, inventory is one of our biggest challenges, right? So, if we find the right house that they probably wouldn't have found on their own, maybe I mentioned a couple of things around renovation. They didn't even know that was an option. How about some of the, I think Lindsay was talking about, winning people over built on rapport and trust in a multiple offer situation. I don't know how many times I've been in a multiple offer situation against 15 other people, and either the way we structure that offer, not just put a number like the highest number on the line, but the offer structure, understanding what is important to that seller because we have a relationship and rapport built with the other agent. We can talk through it. And they're like, this isn't just about the highest number, it's about certainty. Who's going to get us through this transaction that, we've got a nice number on the purchase agreement, but that number's not worth anything unless it closes. Who's going to get us there? So there's value in all of that stuff. There's value in helping people go from where their home search starts. I think we can all agree where they usually start is miles away from where they finish. Like the first thing they describe to you is rarely the thing they buy. But us taking them through that process that shortens it by 6 months to get them to where they want to be and cuts out hours of their time in that process. Is there not value in that? Right. So I think we have to focus so much more on being able to articulate what is my actual value. How about red flags and red flag avoidance, red flag identification and red flag avoidance? How many times have you guys personally talked to somebody? I don't want to say talk them out, but have identified something. Hey guys, are you seeing this challenge here? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? And are you prepared for it? And they go, I didn't see that. Thank you so much. Right. So we have to be able to articulate those value points. And can we put a dollar amount on that? Can we say that, hey, we're worth X? Well, we haven't had to do that till now because we've had our commissions negotiated by third party, by somebody else. And maybe the system hasn't been perfect. We can say that. I mean, especially when you look at it that, somebody else is negotiating your commission to work directly against them. That's probably not a perfect system, but it's been what's worked. It works, especially if there's real value that buyer's agent's producing. Once we lose value there, people are wondering what they're paying for. And if a buyer agent can't have a conversation with their buyer to say, here is what I'm going to do, here's what you can expect, and here's what the cost is, here's a couple of different ways the cost can be dealt with. If we can't have that conversation, we keep telling people our services are free. Free is no value. They don't see value in it. In a way, we've kind of done this to ourselves that our value is being questioned. And that's why I'm telling everybody that's listening, we need to rethink that. We need to be able to articulate and demonstrate that value and be able to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I kind of rambled there. That was a long-winded one, but I wanted to get that out.
I agree with you, Mike, and Ryan, what you said. And as part of those consultations, when you're going to start working with a buyer right up front, print off. You don't have to force them to sign buyer rep and agency in the first meeting. You got to, disclose agency, give them agency in the first meeting, but print out that buyer rep form too and have it filled out and go over with them how it typically works. I think it is okay to say, when I represent a buyer, my fee is 2.7% or my commission rate is 2.7%. That's what I charge for my services. Typically, and this is still the case, homes will have a buyer's agent payout offered by a seller and a listing brokerage of 2.7%. In the event that it doesn't, I will let you know. I can let you know ahead of time if that's what you prefer. And every agent's going to work that a little bit different. I have 8 advisors who work for me that are going to charge 2.7% across the board. So if the listing is offering out 2, we know lots of builders that do that now. They are going to collect that 0.7% because they're worth it. They see the value, their clients see the value. That's the conversation and the expectation that they set up front. You're going to have other people that decide, I'm going to waive that 0.7%. It's not covered. I'm not going to charge that, but I still think having that conversation up front so that they understand how it works. Or if you go into an open house, make sure that agent knows you're represented. Otherwise, that commission piece could be taken away because of procuring costs. You do need to explain how it works, and it's okay to be professional and have those conversations. And I know the newer you are in the industry, the harder those are. But just like saying that our service is free and there's no value, they're not going to see the value if you can't have the hard conversations. You have to work on communication and role play that. Grab a friend in the industry or grab one of your leaders, somebody on this call, sit down and just role play what that conversation is going to be. It can take 5 or 10 minutes. You don't have to spend an hour on, the commission conversation, but maybe that buyer rep form to go through that with a buyer in a consultation is a 5 to 10 minute conversation, and commission is right on there. So it gives you an easy, talking point there. And it says right on that form that, you can negotiate, receive from the listing agent or the seller, part of that commission, and that can deduct what they would owe. So being able to just have that conversation now is more important than ever. We all sit in this chair at a seller's kitchen table and have that conversation every time. It's just really taking that same commission conversation that you have on the seller side and flipping it to the buyer side. We all know that sometimes representing a buyer is more work than a seller. Yeah, there's more upfront costs with the seller. You're paying your stager, you're paying your photographer, you're paying to put the sign in the yard, you're paying to make marketing materials, but you're, paying for gas to drive around and all of the services that came before, that moment in time where they write that purchase agreement. So there's I'm going to totally butcher it, but there is a really fun little story that's out there somewhere. You can Google it. That's a Picasso story. I have no idea if it's true or not. It's probably not, probably a fable, but the story goes that, there's this man sitting in a coffee shop. We'll go back to the coffee shop theme, right? And he's doodling on a napkin. And this woman sees the man doodling on a napkin and thinks the drawing is really cool and walks over and says, can I, buy that from you? She's expecting him to say, no, you can have it, or it's $5 or whatever. And he says, sure, it'll be $10,000. And she's like, what? That took you 5 minutes to draw this doodle on this napkin. And he says, no, it didn't take me 5 minutes. It's taken me 20 years. And the man is Pablo Picasso. So, they're not just paying, remind your clients of this, they're not just paying for this 2 to 6 months to a year, or whatever time frame they're going to work with you directly, and the time during that for this one transaction. They're paying to get this wealth of knowledge, this experience, this collaboration, these relationships that you have with all these agents of however much experience you have in the industry. And just like Ryan said, even if you're newer in the industry, maybe you're not going to bring up, your 6 months of real estate experience, but you still already know more than somebody who's never gone through real estate classes and never, sat in office meetings and started to just soak up that knowledge of our industry.
And to back you up there too, Lindsay, a lot of newer agents either have a team, a mentor, somebody that they can kind of lean on too. That's really good for new agents too, because then you can kind of leverage their experience and that you're not alone. If you are new and really insecure about that, align yourself with someone that can help you.
Yeah,
So,
and you use "our" or "we" or terms like that. So
yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, and kind of a follow-up too. So Ryan, I think you just said something. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. Actually, I'll kind of jump to the next question on that when it comes to presenting your value and talking about this commission. About not hiding. It's the elephant in the room. That's the words you're using. Like, it's the elephant in the room. Our agents are already getting calls from some of the ads and some of the messaging out there, right? Was I overcharged? Can I lower my commission? Like, the conversation is already happening, whether we like it or not. Our agents are getting it. We're going to get it. It's unavoidable at this time, and the lawsuits are just getting started. So what exactly are you telling your agents, when you're getting those calls from your consumers and they're questioning whether they've been overcharged or should I change my commission on my listing? How are you fielding that? What's your advice to them?
My quick thoughts on, my dad, my late father, was an attorney. And the one thing I've learned about, one thing of many I learned from dad in the legal world, is nothing happens very quickly. And this matter is going to go on for years and years before there are direct, perhaps, changes of practice. And so during that time frame, what I'm encouraging people to do is take those phone calls from consumers, show care, show concern, show that it matters to you, but also don't throw the baby out with the bath, throw everything out the window. Keep doing what you're doing, keep your head down, stay focused, because the reality of it is nothing has immediately changed here as of right now. And we don't know what's going to happen with appeals and everything else. Again, not being afraid of the conversation, Mike. And I think to what Lindsay just described as well, about talking to the customer, the buyer and seller, explaining your value, explaining what you do, and just not being afraid of that conversation. We're very mindful of what's going on. We are, want to listen to the customer, but we're also just moving forward. We are moving forward to see where things end up with this in the meantime, and continuing to focus on providing good representation for buyers, sellers, investors, and helping people do deals. And I know that, again, I'm not trying to blow it off. It's just that, again, I think fear can get into our mindset and cause inaction. And then as a result, everyone's like, oh my God, our industry is over. It's done for. Well, yeah. So those are some things to think about.
I love that. And kind of a follow-up there, in a way, we've trained each other in this industry, what's acceptable and what's not to put on that line as a listing agent, and what I mean by that is, how many people have gotten calls, aggressive calls, threats, being yelled at, letters we've received in the mail. I can't believe you put a 2.5 on this listing, or, a 2.3, I'm not going to show it. I literally have had so many phone calls from buyers saying, my agent won't show this house because the payout's too low. And that's because we did, my fiance and I worked with Open Door. I think we sold like 178 listings in a year's time, and they were not paying out 2.7. We'd have people blatantly steering away from those, that their buyers themselves had to call us and say, would you show me the house? So let's talk about that. Like, that's another elephant in the room. It's actually kind of a thing we don't like to talk about in the industry, but it happens. So now with this messaging getting out there, and sellers are saying, wait, I don't have to pay a set amount. I have choices here. Are we going to see more 2%ers, 1.5s? If so, are buyers agents able to have the conversation with the buyers, or do we feel the buyers agent is going to go back and start beating up on the listing agent for not paying enough? How do you think people are going to handle this? What's your thoughts?
I hope that's not how people handle it. I mean, let's all try to hold ourselves at a level of professionalism. And like you've said from the beginning, Mike, yeah, there's a time and place for representation where we're kind of on the other side of the table. But at the same time, there's a time and place when we should all be giving each other professional courtesy, even if there is, two sides. And you have no idea what the seller's situation is or why they're paying out what they are. And I mean, it's mind blowing to me. Like, any consumer who listens to the radio should know that they have choices. They can list their house with certain brokerages for a flat fee. They can, for sale by owner, they can use a higher end real estate company. If they interview more than one agent, they should understand that there are options. just like you're saying, Mike, with your guys' seller suite and the level of service that you guys provide, there's some people agreeing to 7% commissions because they see the value in the level of service that's provided. So it's kind of mind-blowing to me that consumers could say that they don't understand that there's some options here. On the buyer's agent side of it, though, it goes back to what we've been talking about. Have that initial meeting, decide as a buyer's agent, are you going to wholeheartedly represent your clients to the best of your ability, no matter what that payout is, and you're just going to take whatever that payout is, but you're going to treat them the same way no matter what house they buy? Or are you going to tell them that your commission as a buyer's agent is 2.7%, and whatever they buy is going to offset that? And not either one of those things are okay, but in no circumstance is it okay for any agents to be calling other agents and beating them up on what the payout is. You have no idea what's going on the other side of that conversation, nor should it matter, because the conversation should never have been, I work for free, when you're a buyer's agent.
No doubt. That's why I'm glad you said that, because it should never be a reflection on whether an agent's a good agent or bad agent, because there's a 2 or 2.3% payout in there. Like you have no idea what's going on the other end of that. Well said. So Long, I know we're getting at time. Do you have any final thoughts, questions?
Yeah, I just I know that
Wisdoms?
we could be on forever sharing. This is a great panel. So that's why it's so amazing that I'm just listening even. I find myself becoming an audience. I forgot I was on the show with you guys. But I want to ask one really quick question. We don't have a lot of time left. We only have 2 minutes. But maybe we depart with a really positive message. We all been hearing and we've been predicting that election year is next year. And usually when that happens, rates does drop. We don't know how much, but it's going to get a little bit lower. So what should everyone have a positive message for the audience going into next year, and how can we be prepared to take advantage of it?
Lindsay.
I definitely think it's mindset. It's use your education, use your experience, use your knowledge, use your relationships to really truly focus on service. Start with service this year, make that a priority for your clients. I really think that 2024 is going to be a fun year, a strong year. I think we all got caught off guard at the end of 2022 when things really changed. And we had 2023 to kind of get our mindset right, get used to this, changed market. And there's some good things about that too, right? We weren't being pulled in a million different directions at all different times. It's time to get back to the basics, go back to work, remember that this is a career, not a hobby. And it's going to be really fun. We get the opportunity, be grateful. We get the opportunity to show our marketing skills to our sellers, to show our dedication to our buyers and efforts to go out and find them properties maybe that aren't listed. Huge, huge opportunities. And the people who put in the work are going to be very, very successful in 2024.
Love it.
Don't think I could say it any better. How about you, Ryan?
I was just going to say ditto. Yeah, be hopeful. Be hopeful. Stay positive with this. I know it's been a challenging year. Again, the last couple of weeks, I've heard from a lot of agents that the icicle is starting to melt a little bit. I think customers are realizing there's going to be no magic 3% rate. So life continues on. Again, as I said, people have babies, people get married, people relocate. It's going to be a good year. I don't have any doubts.
It's 100% mindset. Just keep yourself in the right mindset, do the right practices, treat it as a career, like you said, not a hobby, and you'll be fine. You'll be perfectly fine.
And I think too that, 2022, if you look at the final numbers of Minnesota, where they landed, where they're going to land, I mean, we were way, way under 2008, way under 2007. I mean, like brutal numbers, so at some point, this market is going to shift back where more people are more confident. Consumer confidence is going to go up. People will start buying more. Investors will buy more. Like, we got one way to go here, guys. So, what you've learned in this last difficult year, through the trials and tribulation, the skill set that you've now obtained, the resilience that's now higher, use that in this better market. And don't just go back to thinking, oh, it's going to get easier again. We don't want it to be easy. We want it to be more productive, but it doesn't need to be easy. Lean into the fact it's harder. You're going to get better for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%.
All right. Well, this has been awesome. We are out of time. And I mean, as always, it's always been fun. Mike, any last departing thing before we wrap up? But
Yeah, I think Ryan needs another cup of coffee. That's all I gotta say.
hey, by the way,
I
so
do.
I will
I
wrap
look
up with some-
tired. I look
will-
tired. Hey, but thank you,
will.
Mike and Long. Thank you guys. Thanks for all you do for the industry. We're grateful for you guys inviting us. Love the work. Love the work you guys are doing. So thank you. Thank you
Thank you.
all.
Thanks,
Agreed.
everybody.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys. Thanks for joining. We'll talk to you next time.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.